Today, we're going to explore a coin that's almost 400 years old that was minted in a city that most people have never even heard of. By the end of this episode of The Life of Money, you'll know exactly who made it, what it could buy, and why was the King of Sweden's name stamped onto the money of a city in Poland. Today's object is about the size of my thumbnail. It's lighter than a paper clip. And yet it sat at the intersection of at least four different worlds, five, I don't know, it depends on how you define it. It's even got two different currencies stamped right onto it. This coin has a lot of life to explore. So, what world gave this life? So now, this coin was minted in the city of Elbing, but Elbing didn't just spring from nowhere. Elbing sprang from history. So, the earliest documented inhabitants of the area that occupy that area, a lot of areas, the Prussia. Okay, they were a Scandinavian people, and they gave the area, the geographic area, the name essentially Prussia. Where we get Prussian from is the name these people gave to their own lands. They established a town and port, which is a very similar location to the the 1632 Elbing, and a port in Trousseau. But somewhere around 1237, at the height of the Crusades, the Teutonic Knights got it into their head that the Prussai were not, in fact, Christian. And we should probably do something about that. So they went out there and they expelled the godless heathens, and then they put together a citadel to make sure that they wouldn't come back. And they gave the name Elbing to the citadel and the nearby lake, and then that carried forward. 1454, the Kingdom of Poland was established, and they almost immediately set aside Royal Prussia as a province, which Elbing was a part of, that was given somewhat autonomous status. They were, this Royal Prussia was on the Baltic Sea and heavy trade networks, so they were given kind of a special status. Now, at some point in there, Poland then joins the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So now this coin is part of the Kingdom of Poland, which is in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, except it's not because guess what? 30 Years' War is raging. And ostensibly, this 30 Years' War is all about religion, but just like with all wars, it's about territories, it's about resources. And as you can see on this map, Sweden was doing a heck of a job of occupying a lot of territory. So I don't know what you think about that. Okay. So this coin is in an occupied city that's in the province of Royal Prussia, that is in the Kingdom of Poland, that is part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Got a few things there. So let's take a look at what kind of story this particular thing tells us. We can see right here, if we read the legends around the side, it's going to say Gustavus Adolphus, and then by the grace of God, King of Sweden. But we can also see on here a number 3. And the 3 made reference to 3 polkers, the first of 2 denominations this coin is going to hold. And a polker was the traditional currency of Poland. So the Swedish occupiers didn't want to, give them something they couldn't work with, so they called it 3 polkers. Now, in the center here, we can see that the engraver was given a heck of a task. Your job is to create a 2-layered coat of arms to put on something. Remember, this is the size of a thumbnail, and it's already got all the text around the side of it. So, number 1, here is the coat of arms of Sweden. And so that's the base on which we're supposed to start. Then here is the coat of arms for the House of Vasa. And Gustavus Adolphus, the king of Sweden at the time, was part of the House of Vasa. And Vasa literally means band of grain. So, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. Now, what's going to happen is where these engravers are going to be tasked with sticking that coat of arms from the right into the one on the left. And lo and behold, this is what you get. And here is a rough outcome of what that artist generated in this setup. On the other side of the coin, when we go around, it's pretty straightforward. It says new money of the Kingdom of Sweden. Aha. So if you're in Elbing and you got this thought in your head that you're part of Poland or Royal Prussia or something, you better get that out of your head in a hurry. You're part of the Kingdom of Sweden. We can see towards the top a 3 and a 2, and that represents the year 1632, which was a very common practice at the time to only use 2 digits. Down towards the bottom of the inner circle is hard to see, but there's a 2-4. That's a pretty well worn coin right there. And that represents the second denomination or second currency that this coin represents, and that is 1/24th of a thaler. Okay? And thaler is in fact the thing that gives us the etymology or the root of the word dollar. Okay, a thaler. So here it is. We've got this coin here, and in the middle there's this imperial orb. Okay, and this imperial orb is a globe overlaid with a cross, and it represents Christ's dominion on earth, right? And it also means Gustavus Adolphus has divine authority. But in a real smackdown, Gustavus Adolphus makes this claim, in the fact this imperial orb was in fact something that was only used by the Holy Roman Empire, and Elbing was not in the Holy Roman Empire. Sweden was not in the Holy Roman Empire, and in fact, the thaler system of currency, with which this is a 1/24 thaler, doesn't belong to Sweden or Poland. It belongs to the Holy Roman Empire. So clearly, this coin has a lot of symbolism. So what could you do if well, what did it take? If you are a carpenter living in 1630, we're going to go 2 years before our coin was created. In 1630, it would take you 31 minutes to earn one of these coins. And you could buy 0.43 liters of rye. It's just the way the historical documents give you the information. So I did a little rough back of the napkin kind of calculations and figured out it would take 67 minutes to earn a loaf of bread. Flash to the time of our coin, and what you find is life is getting good here for our worker. Okay, look at that. You earn money faster. The rye is cheaper. It only takes you 28 minutes to make a loaf of bread. All right, but now the war, the 30-year war is still raging right now, okay? And what's going on is people are dying. And so all those potential carpenters out there are dead, and only a couple of carpenters are alive, and they're like, we should get more money, okay? You should pay us more. But by 1638, the price of rye had gone up again, and therefore you're back to 37 minutes. Now, flash forward to 1655, and the 30 Years' War has ended, and commodity prices have stabilized. And what you find is it takes 22 minutes now to earn this little coin. You get 1.28 liters of rye, and therefore you can now buy 4 loaves of bread per hour. Hope that's not what you're doing, but you can. So, what life does this hold today? Okay. Well, when I looked this coin up, 1632, 1/24 thaler Elbing, it had a buy it now price for a very similar graded of 11.99. It's surprisingly inexpensive. But don't be fooled, all right? That was for a 1632 in a relatively low grade. Move to a scarce date, move to a high grade, and the whole story is going to go different direction. How about me? I bought this thing in 2008 for $9. And for $9, I got a Swedish king, a Polish city, a 30 years war economy, and almost 400 years of survival. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit like and subscribe.